makes our video podcast different from others? We ask each guest what they're doing to give back to the world and their local community. Now that they've amassed their wealth, how are they giving back to help others? Additionally, we ask each guest to give our listeners a special gift to help them grow as a person and to influence their business. Welcome to the Roy Snarr Show, entrepreneurship and giving back. Now, here's your host, Roy Snarr.
I struggled for years. I wanted to quit all the time, but then I would see somebody else doing it. I'm like, they're cool, but I'm cooler. I can do better than them. And I just stuck with it. And it was hard. There was many a times where I took a break from the business. I said, forget it. I'm going to go do something else. But something kept drawing me. So this happens to be my calling. This is what I firmly, truly believe is speaking, helping other people. And the avenue that I've chosen happens to be insurance, because you have to be successful for people to actually want to even listen to you. And so my avenue has been insurance. So when I first started, I was buying leads online. I was doing direct mail campaigns. I was doing everything I possibly could on a very, very tight budget. In fact, my budget was so tight that I go to hotels. The Hilton, the Sheraton, the Hyatt, all these nice fancy hotels. I'd walk in there like I own the place. And the reason why I would go in there, because I didn't have any money to go to Kinko's to print flyers out. So I would use the hotel's computers and I go in there, sit down, print everything out, make some flyers up, make some marketing materials I could literally hand out to people. After a while, some of the hotel people are like, how long are you staying here? So I had to rotate hotels. Now, fortunately, I was in the Bay Area in California, and there's tons of hotels there and nice places. Even the Four Seasons, I'd go there too to meet with people, make it look real fancy. I'd use the Four Seasons printers. They were the best. Nice, glossy, clear printers. They didn't charge for anything. Okay, then I would take these flyers that I'd make there. I'd go to Starbucks. I'd go to the same Starbucks every single day, same time. And I started posting these flyers on the Starbucks community board. Well, little did I know, you're not supposed to post for-profit type of things on the community board. So the manager of that Starbucks kept taking my flyers down, and I didn't care. I kept putting them back up there. Then he finally said, if you do it again, I'm going to have to ask you not to come to my store. So I said, okay, I won't put them up there any longer. So now I'm sitting at Starbucks. I'd buy a big coffee. And the reason why I got the big one is because I could have free refills. So I'd have free refills. I used that same cup for almost a week. Okay, it would get soggy, it would tear apart. I'd go there, can I get a new cup? This one's a little bit soggy. They're like, yeah, sure, go for it. I could tell that they were being nice to me, which was nice because I didn't have any other choice at that time. I mean, literally, the budget was that tight where I was pinching pennies not to buy a coffee. I had to make this work. So what I would do, people would come into Starbucks. They would sit down. I say, hey, sir, ma'am, I'm doing some marketing for my company. Would you mind giving me your opinion on this marketing piece? They said, sure, why not? Who doesn't want to give a kid their opinion? And at that time, before I was married with 3 kids, I had a lot of thick hair and a real baby face. I still can't even grow facial hair today. And they were like, sure, I'll help you out. You're a young kid. And this flyer would be intentionally designed by me and my graphic design abilities on Microsoft Word. And it would just say, hey, life insurance options, tax-free retirement. I would do protecting your family. Here's the reasons why you should have life insurance. I go, what's your opinion on this? And they go, oh, that's really good. Then I would say, if you saw this, would this entice you or encourage you to potentially want to buy life insurance for your family to protect them? Was that something that would be interesting to you? And they go, actually, that would be. Oh, good. I got somebody to say they were interested. I was so excited. Then I would just commission breath all over them. I'd be like, okay, great. Well, here's what we can do. Got my laptop out. I'm going to run you a quick quote, boom, 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 boom. And then I would scare people away because I was just so excited, desperate, and I was actually hungry trying to make this work. So I've learned slowly but surely to calm down a little bit. And as you can tell, I'm very high energy to begin with. And so I started calming down a little bit and just slowly working my way to help these people. And I started selling life insurance policies. I even sold an annuity at the Starbucks, just having a cup of coffee with somebody, asking for their opinion. See, the big difference is I was actually doing it, okay? Most of the agents, regardless if you're in insurance or real estate or whatever, it doesn't matter. Most people are not willing to do these crucial steps. They're not willing to put the time, the sweat equity into it. If you keep going hard, something will pop up for you. Like Napoleon Hill always says, you're 3 feet from gold. I actually struck gold at Starbucks, and here's how. One of the people that sat down was a real estate agent, okay? Met with him, started talking with him. He had a background in insurance and finance. I go, oh, how unique. I'm in insurance and finance also. So let's work together to see what we can do. And he goes, great, that'd be awesome. So we became friends, and we're still friends to this day. But the biggest thing was he led me to his real estate agency, which happened to have an insurance group inside of there. This was revolutionary for me because in addition, during that time frame of sitting down at Starbucks, is I would literally go to Walmart, every store, and ask people, hey, look, would you be interested in learning about life insurance and how it can protect your family? I mean, that's how straight up I was because I was just trying to get people to say yes. And it worked, but it was very hard. I don't necessarily recommend that route, especially with today. There's a lot of other avenues, but that's what I was doing. I even, with those flyers that were being printed out, when I wasn't at the Starbucks trying to meet with people, I get a big giant trash bag and I get some helpers. I would go to like Home Depot, get people to help me. I'd pay them $10 an hour. And then I even have my mom help walk it around with me and sometimes a friend. And I get these big trash bags full of flyers and I would drop it on all the doorsteps. I even started stuffing mailboxes in the neighborhood with it. Well, little did I know you're not supposed to do that unless you're a postal service worker. But I didn't know. And quite frankly, at that time, I didn't really care. I was trying to get as much business as possible. So I was doing absolutely everything you can imagine when it comes to trying to gain business. So this meeting with this real estate agent that led me to a property and casualty broker changed my life. It was just revolutionary. This property and casualty broker, to this day, we're great friends. He married my wife and I. And so it blows my mind how things connect, right? Like Steve Jobs says, you can't connect the dots looking forward, but looking backwards you can. So it's really unique on how things actually work out. And none of that would have happened unless I put in that foundation, that sweat equity, sitting at that Starbucks for almost a year, talking to people, trying to get somebody to buy something, going to all these different insurance conferences. Every single dollar that I did make, I bought the tickets to the convention. I bought books on insurance and success and motivation. I literally saturated myself. I didn't even listen to music for quite some time. I was simply just listening to motivation, success, Tony Robbins, Tom Hopkins, everything I possibly could to get it subconsciously embedded in my mind. So when I met with this insurance broker, he had an entire book of business. I was able to cross-sell it. So I started making hundreds of phone calls a week on that. I would average about 50 phone calls a day. Then I had my mom help me with phone calls, and she's great on the phone, and she doesn't know a whole lot about insurance, but she could still get the point across to book in a time with me. So we started calling this entire book of business. We started making some success. We had a split arrangement agreed. And that first year I made almost $50,000. My mind was blown. I was like, this is it. This is amazing. I could just do this forever. 50 grand a year is off the hook. And that was a lot of money back then. And it still is today. But for my first time, after a few years in the business, a few years it took me to get to 50,000. You may see success stories today, and some of my friends, they've experienced this. They made their first 6 figures in 3 months. That's amazing. That wasn't me though, and don't expect it to be you either in any type of field that you're in, regardless of insurance or real estate or whatever you're in. Give it some time, okay? So when we hit that first $50,000 milestone, I was all in. I said, that's it. I'm going to take all this money. I'm going to live totally poor again. I was living with my friend's mom in a mobile home at one point. And then at this other juncture in life, I was renting a room out from my friend's uncle. Really awkward situation, but I was living there. He had a whole bunch of people over all the time. It was just not a conducive environment to build a business. So then I finally was able to get an apartment, which was nice. I had an apartment finally. But I dumped all that money back into purchasing leads. I just spent every dollar I had, reinvested back in the business. And even today, we don't take much from the business. We keep reinvesting it. And that's one thing you always have to keep in mind in any industry, especially if you're in a sales position and you're an entrepreneur. You need to put money back into your practice. Don't be scared to invest into yourself. You got to have confidence that the system and the faith will actually work out, okay? So we started buying all these leads. I was buying mortgage protection leads. That was my go-to. I didn't do the final expense route. I did mortgage protection, life insurance. So I would spend thousands of dollars every single month, maxed out credit cards, just buy as many leads as I possibly could. And fortunately, from that 50,000, it started growing, and then I hit $250,000 a year in revenue. I couldn't believe it. I actually wrote $250,000 down on a whiteboard, and it took me almost about 5 years to hit that. 5 years to hit $250,000. I had it on a whiteboard the whole time. So I finally hit that number. And it was the biggest success goal that I hit. And then when we hit 7 figures, that was the next one. But that first time of grinding my whole way, I even have pictures of a chair on an egg crate, like a milk crate, right? On a stand-up desk, because that's the only desk we had, and a little laptop. And that's how I would process everything. And it was inside of a garage, okay? Because these apartments, this little duplex I lived in also right after that, there wasn't any room for an office, okay? So I was working literally out of a garage.